This week. This week, I want to address a question that actually came up in my Summer Strong group coaching program for the first time. We're just running it for the first time. I had a really good question from one of the participants in that group coaching program, and I want to elaborate on it and share my thoughts on it with all of you. He was asking, I've talked at length about the importance of getting adequate protein on any goal you might have. And so just to review, we're shooting for around 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, or ideal body weight if you happen to be overweight or obese. But in the process of trying to reach that goal, she was having trouble because she was consuming a lot more fat along with that protein than she would like. This is typically a problem with some animal source proteins, which is my preferred type of protein source for most people is to choose animal source protein. Vegetarian source proteins would have a little bit different problem. They would not have as much fat, but they might come along with a significant amount of carbohydrates. But since she was consuming animal protein, her problem was more on the fat side of things. And so the solution here is to really just be mindful of the types of protein that you are consuming. And rightfully so, fat has become less villainized in people's diets. We know that we need a certain amount of fat, but with the rise of kind of a lower carb, higher fat diet, some people have drifted over to the high fat side of things. And so they're used to consuming a lot of fattier things, right? All of a sudden, bacon's back on the menu, and ribeye steaks are back on the menu, and things like oxtail are back on the menu, which is not really a tail of a cow. I don't know why they call it oxtail. But these protein sources, quote unquote protein sources, or animal proteins can be very high in fat. And so if you look at something like having bacon, there's actually more fat in bacon than there is protein from a calorie point of view, right? When you are trying to reach a certain protein goal, and maybe that protein goal is much higher than you used to, and you're used to eating fattier sources of protein, then you're going to eat a lot of fat along with that. And because fat is calorically dense, so there's 9 calories per gram of fat as opposed to 4 calories per gram of protein or carbohydrate, those fat grams add up quickly from a calorie point of view. And so it can become an issue, especially if weight loss is one of your goals, or body composition is one of your goals. The key to this is not to move back to a low-fat diet. It's just to be mindful of what you're going to consume as a protein source throughout the day. So if, for example, you're planning on having a ribeye steak for dinner, that's going to be a fattier cut of meat, and it's fine. You should have it. I love ribeyes. They're my favorite cut of steak. But when I'm going to have a ribeye at night, what I do during the day is make sure that I have leaner sources of protein. So I make up for the high fat content of the steak by consuming more leaner sources of protein through the day. So that might mean that I'm going to stick to some type of whitefish for lunch, or shrimp, or chicken, or a low fat Greek yogurt, or cottage cheese. And in breakfast, I'm going to make sure that I don't go overboard on I'm not going to add bacon in, for example, at my breakfast. I'm going to have my egg, and I'm going to offset that with a little bit of cottage cheese and a little bit of salmon to get some leaner sources of protein in there in addition to the egg. Or you can add egg whites into your whole eggs. A lot of these things, like low fat yogurts or low fat cottage cheese or egg whites, were demonized during the high fat movement because there were no fat in them, but they help balance out the fat protein ratio when you're consuming more fattier sources of protein. And so it's okay to mix and match things, right? It's not all black and white. You don't have to have fat all the time at every meal. You don't have to have lean proteins all the time at every meal. You have to just be mindful of the amount of fat that you're having from your protein sources, and how that balances out from a total calorie point of view throughout the day. And so you can use things like egg whites in low-fat Greek yogurt, or low-fat cottage cheese, or a protein powder or something like that, where there's virtually 0 fat in these things and it's very high protein. Or if you're looking for more natural sources, whitefish, cod, halibut, scallops, shrimp, chicken breast, lean turkey, or even very lean ground beef. If you can find 93% lean ground beef or higher, that can be fine too. So you just have to be a little bit mindful about the protein sources you're choosing, what the fat content they are in. Do a little bit of prep ahead of time. Don't just like wing it. You're having a ribeye tonight, or you're going to your favorite restaurant where there's going to be a ribeye. Be mindful about that for the rest of the day. Just like you have to have some forward-looking oversight to your diet in order to balance things out. And that's true whether we're talking about fat and protein, or we're talking about other things like just getting in vegetables or eating a certain amount of carbohydrate or whatever, right? That planning ahead and being mindful about what you're going to consume, even just in a 24-hour period, can be extremely helpful to making sure you reach your goals adequately. And for some people, it helps to hack. If you're someone who likes to use a software to track things, it might be useful to go ahead and enter in your protein sources like the day before for the next day and be like, okay, I'm going to have ribeye tomorrow night. I need to get to 140 grams of protein. So that has amount of fat, that has X amount of protein in it. What are my other protein sources in there? And you can mix and match and find a good combination the night before. Be like, okay, I know what I'm going to do. And next day you can just execute that plan without having to think about it. So that's another trick to use as well. And that's all I really got for you today. I hope everyone's had a great week. And as always, if you want to keep up with the content that I put out on a weekly basis, please go ahead and sign up for my newsletter. You can go to rjbhealth.coach, click on the newsletter link at the top, enter your email address, and you can sign up for that. That way you don't have to talk to me on social media for all the content that I put out. And then also, I do have a couple spots open for one-on-one coaching. So if you are interested in getting a handle on your diet and dialing protein and dialing calories and trying to navigate this confusing space of nutrition, please reach out to me. You can go to my website. Again, you can go to my website, rjbhealth.coach. Click on the one-on-one discovery calls button right on the homepage. Fill out the form and I'll get back to you and we can chat a little bit more if one-on-one coaching would be a good fit for you, or you can just direct message me or reach out to me via email if you like to do it that way as well. But with that, I hope everyone has a great weekend and I'll chat to you all next.